sure that you're muted. That way, folks, you can type all you want, have your sidebar conversations, and you won't be disrupted or disrupt anybody else. And then if you want to chat, just go ahead and unmute. That'll be no problem. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so that we can begin with the, I'm going to bring up the background notes for today. And can somebody give me a thumbs up that you can see the notes, or let me know that you can't? Can everybody see the background notes on the screen?
They're pretty blurry.
Okay. If they are blurry on your screen, if you scroll to the top of your screen, you should get an icon that looks like an ellipse, and you would have the option to just click on that. You have the option to do full screen or make fit, etc. Click on that and see if that helps for you. And I can also try to.
It's fine. I have a paper copy. Oh, that's better.
I can make them a little larger too. Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming. Is that okay? All right. All right. So we're going to start, just write down the agenda here. The first item is from the Department of Education, or some updates from PDE. PVAS, they're planning some professional development, additional webinars for you that will start this fall and winter. So I've detailed for you what those will be. For a number of you, we'll have teachers receiving reports for the first time, or a number of you may be having teachers receive reports for the second time. So now they're going to be looking at back-to-back data, and for many of them it would be with a new test, so there could be a lot of questions and conversations around those reports. There will be a 3 webinar series to cover district and school reporting, teacher-specific reporting, and student projection reporting. There will also, of course, be an update to the overview on PVAS. There is an overview out there now, but they're modifying that to reflect the new assessment issues. And then introduction to new PVAS student projections. We talked about this a couple of months ago. They are now making projections to AP, PSAT, ACT, and SAT. So there'll be a webinar on those projections as well. And then for the winter and spring, we're going to be looking at going deeper on student projections to just the AP exam, and then going deeper on projections to the PSAT, ACT, and SAT. Obviously, they'll do roster verification training again, and then all of these webinars will be coming out in a professional development booklet pretty soon. And as soon as I get that, of course, I'll forward that to you as well. Okay. Another just handy-dandy tool is the PSSA Keystone bookmarks. I have those in hard copy that are actual bookmarks, but what I went ahead on handout B, and I'm going to throw those up for you. If you opened up handout B, I took them and put them on the photocopier, laid them out 4 by 4 on a side, and you'll see that if you look at the page, it looks like one page is upside down. That's intentional, because if you run it through your photocopier back to back, it will print so that you can have 4 on each side. If you want to run it on cardstock, you can cut those bookmarks for you and all your administrators. You could make 40 copies if you want and have a ball with it. But anyway, those are the more important thing are all the dates, the specific dates for important dates with respect to PSSA and Keystone, SPP, test windows, verification windows, check your data and fix it sort of thing, correction windows, all that information is on there. Some of the stuff, of course, we get these in the beginning of July, and, some of the dates have already passed, but just so that you have that, so when you're asking when's that's coming out, you now know. All right, I'm going to go back to the background notes here. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see that, but that's just handout B in your in the Moodle site. If in fact you want to make copies, I'll pass the hard copies out at the August meeting, or our face-to-face meeting, so you'll get copies then. Or if you happen to be in the office for any reason over here at the IU, feel free to stop upstairs. Jill will give you a bunch. But if you need them sooner than that, by all means, go ahead and print them out. Keystone and project-based assessment. This is really critical. I know that most of you, I'm sure, understand this, and this is not a problem, but I am getting phone call and emails almost exclusively from principals who are not understanding this for some reason. There is no moratorium, number one. Senate Bill 880 was passed by the Senate, but the House has taken no action. The House is recessed until late August, although they're back talking about budgets. I don't know that that's on their radar right now. And if and only if a moratorium goes through, it is not on the project-based assessment. So I sent all of this information out because I was getting questions, right? Here's a link to the bill that was passed, but no, it's only passed by the Senate. Obviously, the House still needs to pass it, and that's assuming the House passes it as it is written without additional modifications, changes, etc. It would then go to the governor, who would have the option to sign or veto. That has not, none of that, those last two steps have taken place. So nothing has gone into effect. After sending that message out, trying to clarify to every principal, curriculum director, etc., I got this message. Has project-based assessment implementation been delayed until 2018? So clearly, there are folks that are still misunderstanding this. So if you would please, please, please talk to your principals. There is nothing that has delayed project-based assessment implementation. There is no moratorium on using Keystones for graduation. So I responded, and I'm giving you my actual words in case it, just because I'm honest about it. I was a little surprised. So absolutely not. There's nothing proposed to put a moratorium on PBAs. The only reason PBAs are even a discussion is if and only if there is a moratorium on graduation requirements, there would be no need for PBA as it is only used as an alternative path towards graduation. So if you would share that with your folks, make sure that it's really clear. I have principals telling folks at gyms that this is not a need anymore. I have other principals calling me left and right. So I don't know why the confusion, and I was hoping my email helped, but based on the email response I got back, I'm not sure it did. So maybe you guys can help solidify that back on the home front, that as far as we are concerned, we need to move forward, that the project-based assessment is still a go. All right, or the Keystones for graduation purposes are still a go, and therefore the project-based assessment will be needed for some kids. Any questions about that? Okay, feel like an extra need to make wait time a little longer with this video delay, so just bear with me if it feels like I'm giving you too much dead air. Act 71 resources. Act 71 was the law that went into effect last June 2014 that talked about youth suicide awareness and prevention, and also curriculum and professional development associated with child trafficking. The Department of Education has placed some resources for suicide awareness and prevention on the Safe Schools section of the website. It is not in SAS, but on the Safe Schools section of PDE's website, and I've given the link to that in your background notes there. Just as a reminder, youth suicide awareness and prevention is a requirement that begins this year in grades 6 through 12. It's ongoing professional development for your teachers in grades 6 through 12. The child exploitation or child trafficking is in reference to grades K to 8, and it is to provide age-appropriate instruction on child exploitation for students in grades K through 8. What this means is that if and only if you choose to implement this, it's a choice. If you choose to implement this curriculum, then you must have professional development for your teachers in relation to this. But only if you're going to implement curriculum. If you choose not to implement the curriculum, then you don't have to provide the professional development. So suicide awareness required, grades 6 through 12, beginning this year. Not the child exploitation, child trafficking, grades K through 8, but only if you're going to implement age-appropriate curriculum associated with that do you need to do professional development. Carrie, go ahead. You have a question? Just unmute. Click at the bottom left of your screen, click your mute button. Use your cursor to go over your screen, and then there's a microphone. Just click on it and you'll unmute yourself. And then you can talk. Can you find it? Dr. Rohr, are you wanting to ask a question or you changed your mind? Oh, she's typing it. Okay. Give me a second. We'll take your type. Oh, got it. You just wanted, for some reason the chat didn't show up. I apologize. In terms of child abuse, not child abuse, in terms of suicide prevention or child trafficking or both? Both, okay. We have not had a conversation yet in reference to child trafficking. I think we want to take a look at what PDE's suggested curriculum is around that, which we don't have yet. Once we have that, we'll take a look at whether or not, and share that with you guys and decide whether or not professional development needs to be developed. But we do intend to offer professional development on suicide prevention. Our gut would be that we'd probably initially offer some face-to-face, that we would follow up with an online version like we did with the child abuse once we have that off the ground, and that we would offer to everybody. So yes, we will do that.
Christine, just to be clear, though, the suicide is mandatory. The child trafficking is by choice, right?
Absolutely, Mike. Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay. So that is about the, that's Act 71. Moving on, I think you probably know there's not been any real movement on the PA budget. Our contacts, primarily Tom Gluck, who is the executive director of PAIU, which is the Pennsylvania Association of Intermediate Units. He used to be the Deputy Secretary of Education, so he knows those folks well and spends a lot of time working with the legislators on our behalf. And he seems to indicate that they are no closer than they were on June 30th. So he's not seeing a passed budget anytime soon. Okay, which is obviously not great news. Also, what might have been cause for consternation, I don't know that if you've seen them or not, but the PSSA cut scores have been released. And I provided a handout of a presentation that was presented on those. I'm going to go ahead and share that particular presentation, so bear with me for 1 second. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Looks good.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm not going to go through all the slides. I just want to move to the slides. They talk about how they came to the conclusion, the people they used, what the standard setting process was. So you can use this as you see fit or read through this at your leisure. But I wanted to, should just gone to checked out the right page. Okay, starting here, this is the PSSA English Language Arts. The impacts, what the review committee decided should be the cutoff scores. So you can see advanced, proficient, basic, below basic for grade 3 all the way up through grade 8 in terms of English Language Arts, PSSA, where the cutoff is somewhere in terms of being, in order to be proficient or advanced, you have to have gotten somewhere between 38 and 42% of the PSSA accurate. People aren't, I'm not hearing great things. They don't love the cutoff scores, I think primarily because they don't love the actual scores they're receiving. But when you show them that, we're asking kids to have passed 38% of the test in grade 3 in order to be proficient, that's, it's kind of scary that we have folks that are balking against that. But new test, so you're going to have different challenges, et cetera. And obviously folks are going to have different concerns. But just wanted you to see those cutoff scores if you hadn't seen them. That was what the review committee decided. You'll see side by side is the standards setting group and the review committee. They were very, very similar in their recommendations across the board. That was just to show you that. They had 2 different groups working on that to come up with the recommendations. So then here was the final recommendations for English language arts. Those are the actual scores. So if you want to use that when working with your teachers, you have these slides to be able to do that. And then the same thing for math. That was the review committee's recommendations. Here's the standard setting committee versus the review committee. And the comparison's a little bit different, but still not terribly off. And then the math scores. It appears that our math scores are lower for those of you, at least off the initial hearing that when I'm talking to folks, it appears that across the state, the math scores are significantly lower than the English language arts scores in terms of people's actual results. Not sure if that holds true in Beaver County. I obviously don't have access to that yet, but any questions about the cut scores or your results? Anybody have anything they want to talk about in relation? All right, Carrie, are you going to talk or just text?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And when I'm in full screen mode, there is no unmute button. So that was my problem.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, okay.
So it's not that I couldn't see the great big microphone in the bottom. It was my understanding that people's concern with these scores was the difference in the cut score from last year. Not that the cut score was 38%. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Am I misunderstanding what the problem was?
No, I understand, but because there's a new test, though, they're going to establish new cut scores, and they'll probably continue to establish new cut scores for the next several years. They're certainly doing it for PBOS, so I would assume they'll do the same for this. But no, I'm sure that's.
But new test, new cut scores make sense, but then to compare this year's results with last year's results, I mean, to say like, oh, well, you dropped 10%. No, we really didn't.
Right. No, there's no, absolutely. PBOS is going to be your only shot in terms of showing that hopefully that growth remained the same or got better. But the achievement piece, you're right. There's no question. You're going to have that drop and people are going to complain about it because it's not going to be a fair comparison.
Well, okay, last question. Sorry, I don't want to monopolize, but
No.
Can it be a fair comparison even in terms of growth if the standards have changed?
Yeah, it can be because they can use multiple assessments. They look at a variety of assessments anyway. What they'll do is, remember the PBOS growth is about ranking. So if I was at the 30th percentile as a group, and here's how I performed in the past, and then I re-rank with this. Everybody took the same test. It's not like I took a test different than everybody else. So I'm still going to rank all those same kids who took the same test, given the same kind of instruction, et cetera. We should be about the same spot at least in comparison to all those folks. So it's not about the actual score I got on the test. It's where I fall amongst everybody else in that score who also took the same test and had the same issues. Make sense?
Perfect. Got it. Thanks.
So growth hopefully will show that for folks, but our achievement scores, they're going to be ugly at first. I think we maybe anticipated, maybe we didn't anticipate as big of a drop. But if nothing else, hopefully it's a wake-up call for our teachers who have been saying, yeah, we teach that. Yeah, we teach that. And really aren't understanding that they're not teaching to the rigor of the standards. So if nothing else, we can use this as a catalyst to start that conversation. So hopefully we can, all we can do is take this and run with it in the most positive direction possible. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so you have you have that if you need it, and I'm going to go back to the background notes. All right, so now moving on to what the IU is planning and some things that maybe that some discussions I'd like to have with the group. The first item is specifically PVOS training here that's going to take place here at the IU. We're going to have two different types of training. One is for teachers. So these would be for teachers who actually receive teacher reports. So this isn't for your third grade teachers who don't get reports, or your social studies teachers who you want maybe to look at the science data or the math data or something. This is literally for teachers who will receive reports. And it also, what we're looking to send, what I'm looking to have you send, are teachers who could help support other teachers through this. So instructional coaches, for example, if you have those folks, or you have lead teachers, you might want to bring those people. And we're going to do this via video conference, but to the IU sites. So PVOS will be training via video conference at the IU sites, and I will be here to help facilitate discussions on site October 27th or November 6th, and this is from 8:30 to 2:30. Lunch is on their own, but there really will only be official training in the morning. The afternoon is for teamwork and for the IU to support the teams in the rooms. So there's no requirement to stay in the afternoon, but if folks want to stay, dig through their specific data and ask real-time questions, we can do that in the afternoon after they come back from lunch. So we're looking for instructional coaches or facilitators, department chairs, content leaders. Those are the people that we're bringing to the table on either October 27th or November 6th. So as I said at the beginning, they'll do a video conference, and then they'll offer some additional follow-up webinars for parts 2 and 3 of this training. But it really is designed to help instructional coaches or facilitators, department chairs, and content leaders help folks through that process. So that's what the training for teachers will be, and the training we plan for the administrators this fall will be specifically about talking the talk and walking the walk. So what we're looking for are administrators who will talk with teachers about their PVOS specific teacher reporting. I know this conversation can be challenging. We've been doing PVOS for a long time, but we still have those kinds of questions, even the question that Dr. Rowe and I were just chatting about in terms of looking at PVOS. It can get complicated when you only look at it once or twice a year to remember that process. And now you're adding to that, we've got teachers who are being evaluated using this tool. So now we've got this whole other level of emotion that becomes involved. And so the intended audience for this training will be principals or assistant principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, curriculum folks, special ed directors, anybody who might have conversations with their teachers about their teacher reporting. But we are expressly not inviting teachers to the table. This conversation is so administrators can have the conversation openly without teachers in the room. So please don't send your lead teachers, et cetera. This really is specifically for administrators. And the session will focus on how to incorporate PVOS growth and projection data into processes and planning, and how to have your conversations with teachers and guiding them how to use this data. Okay? So those are the two face-to-face kinds of training that we'll be having here at the IU. Any of the other trainings that we've done in the past, PVOS 101, train the trainer on PVOS, getting folks to really understand anything like that, we can still offer for you. We can do that on site, or if there's enough interest, we could put that here. That's not something that's financially supported by the state, so there would be a fee for that, but we'd be happy to do that. So let me know if you need any other support on PVOS other than what is planned here. Any questions?
Christine, that teacher day and administrator day both are on October 27th?
No, sorry.
I thought that's what the
October
handout said.
27th? Oh. I got to check those dates. That's not accurate. Hold on. No. I can tell you because I asked Jill to write that down for me yesterday, and then I made the mistake of typing it wrong. Nice catch. I don't know. I'll fix it, and I will email you out. Nice catch. No. I think it's the teachers on the 27th and November 6th. The administrator one I think is wrong.
Okay.
But I will double check that and get that out to you guys. Sorry about that. Nice catch.
No problem. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So now, in addition, I've also started receiving requests for teacher effectiveness training. And we talked about this back in May. Does anybody want this summer? And, oh, no, we don't need it. And now I'm getting all kinds of phone calls. Are you going to do this work? So we found 2 days. It's a little tight, I know, in terms of time, and it's a Thursday and Friday, because who wants to do that in the summer? But it's what we have available to us, August 13th and 14th. This training is specifically for new principals and assistant principals, or if you have a central office person who evaluates in the building. Maybe you have a special ed director, a new special ed director who evaluates the special ed teachers on site, something like that. This is only designed for folks who really are new. It will be 2 days, but it will encompass the entire pie, right? All components of the pie. We'll look at specialists versus actual teacher, or classroom teachers, teaching professionals versus non-teaching professionals. We'll look at the observation tool. We'll also talk about the other components of the pie, the SPP, the SLOs, etc. So that's a lot to do in 2 days. But we want to try to get as much in as possible for those folks before school starts. I know at minimum Blackhawk has at least one assistant principal, one principal, and potentially a second new principal. I think a number of others are filling in some other positions as well. So I'm going to open it up beyond Beaver County. There is a cost of $250 for those 2 days, but it does include lunch for both days, all your materials. And the training for 2 days is along with technical support after that. So if you have anybody who's interested, we're going to send out registration forms later this afternoon. Along with that, we have a principal effectiveness training. This also, new superintendents, assistant superintendents and principals, or new assistant principals. Anybody who has never received training on the principal effectiveness tool. It seems like every time we turn around, we have some new people who would not have seen this before. And it's not just going to be on the tool. It will be on all the components of the pie for principals. The cost, that's just 1 day, and the cost for that is $75 a person. The assumption here is that anybody who is new to this role will have at least been through the Charlotte Danielson's tool training for the 2 days, so we'll certainly understand the process of using a tool like the Framework for Teaching when we begin to look at the Framework for Leadership. So we won't go for 2 full days on that, but just the 1 day. And the cost for that is $75 with your lunch included on that as well. It's not as much involvement in terms of preparation and planning for that one. Any questions about those? Again, we'll send those registration forms out today as well. Okay, another thing, a number of you have heard me that I've been working with PDE for the past year to develop an assessment literacy program that we've trained all IUs on. A couple of things I want to talk to you about in reference to that. The first being, it is completed. We have trained all the IU folks. It is 6 modules of training. Each module is about 30 hours. Which, if you did the math as administrators, if you took all 6 modules, you'd have all your PIL credits. We have not gotten it PIL approved yet. We're currently working on getting the first 2 this August. We're finishing up the paperwork for that today and tomorrow, and we'll submit that to PDE in hopes by, I think, the beginning of September is when they evaluate them, that we'll have that approved. So that would be, just those 2 would be 60 hours of PIL credit for our administrators on assessment literacy. I think as we begin to go through this work on looking at our PSSA scores, our PVOS scores, we're looking at new curriculum, the standards being more rigorous, and SLOs. I think we're starting to realize that the assessments that we're using, we don't know whether or not they're the right assessments. We don't know whether or not they're good assessments. So starting to do that work and digging into how do we know whether or not we're developing good assessments or using good assessments, et cetera. So we will, number one, that's coming. And so know that that's going to be out there. The design and intent there would be for administrators, and the job embedded work in those courses would be that you would take the work that we did in class and replicate that with at least a few teachers and come back and report on the results. I think it promises to potentially be a really good support for you within your districts over time. But in the meantime, this sort of was kind of serendipitous. It was a test for me, but I think it's turned into something that we might end up replicating in other areas. We had a district, and unless that person says it's okay, I'm not going to say who, but we had a district who was looking for some professional development support for some teachers at the end of the year who needed some additional professional development hours. And because I had just done this assessment literacy work, we decided to put together an online workshop. That workshop is called Rigor and an Introduction to Assessment Literacy. And it takes some of the components of assessment literacy at a very low level introductory perspective, and brings in the importance of looking at rigor and ratcheting up the rigor of our instruction and analyzing the standards and the kinds of questions we write to get to that level. And it is designed to be entirely online, which means an individual teacher could do this all by themselves without anything. However, I would be the facilitator, so they would ask me questions, I'd answer their questions, we'd work together, etc. But it can be utilized as a partnership, in that you could bring teachers in and walk through this course. While the material's online and the videos are online and the questions when you're answering questions, that's online, all the discussion and work can be co-facilitated with you as a central office person or one of your building principals. And it's broken into so many little pieces that you could essentially do this over many staff meeting times, or you have your grade level team meetings and you have an hour of time or 45 minutes of time, chunks of time. You could do that over several weeks. It's about 18 hours approximately to get through the whole workshop. And there's a cost associated with that as well. If you have more, if you have a large number of folks, we can negotiate that fee. But the fee is there not only for the build, because I'll customize it specifically for you based on your grade level, et cetera, but also because I'm going to be there. I will be in the background co-facilitating, answering questions. I'll grade all of their work so that they're getting feedback from me as well as from you, and we'll modify the course specifically for you. The reason I bring this up is, I want to show you that, and because it was pretty successful, and we're going to offer it in this district again later this summer. But the other reason I bring it up is I have been doing this now for 14 years. I think this is my 15th year here at the IU. And you know that it's just me. And I've been trying for a really long time to help build the capacity of our districts, strengthen our district's capacity to lead this kind of training. And so you come to the IU and I do this training on, whatever it is, do some kind of leadership training for administrators to go back and take that work back with you. I give you the agendas, the materials, the resources, the scripts, everything, even sheets that say, if you're going to do this activity, here's how long it will take, et cetera. Try to give you all of those things. And I still get folks who, for a variety of reasons, time, et cetera, time, concern that they won't say what I would say, to which I always say, you won't, and that's a good thing. You know your culture, you know your people, but I still get folks who are hesitant to lead the training back on site. I'm sort of viewing this as that next level of scaffold where this is just the assessment literacy one, but the next time I run some face-to-face training on some new initiative that the state's rolled out, I'm envisioning I could do this online piece at the end. So the state pays me to do the training for you guys, I train you, and then I design this online component as a background for you. So I wanted to throw that out there. I want to show you the course, and then I just heard from Dr. Rowe, or just noticed from Dr. Rowe, that she said it's okay to say that it was her district that we did this work in. So maybe if she's willing, after I show you the outline of the course, or the workshop, maybe she could say something to let you know how her teachers viewed it and whether or not she thought it was beneficial. So hold on one second. I'm going to share the workshop itself so you get a feel for that. Is the screen large enough? Can you see it okay? Okay, thanks for nodding your head, Mike. All right, so this particular course is a workshop is designed where your teachers would come in, and the very first link, I'm not going to bore you, but the very first link is a introduction video, and the introduction video has nothing to do with assessment literacy. It is, hi, here's who your instructor is, and by the way, here's how you navigate the course. So I teach them how to point and click using a video. So really very simple, show them how to upload their materials, etc., the directions. Then there's a sheet that gives every single assignment and instructions for every single section throughout the whole thing. So if they watch the video and print out that PDF, they'll be able to have a cheat sheet the whole way through. So the first thing we do is take a look at what rigor is. We talk about defining rigor. So they're going to watch some videos and read some articles, and there's some note taker forms they have to upload to me, so they have to take notes on all those things and then upload those notes to me so I know in fact that they've done that work. Then we take a look at Webb's depth of knowledge and go deep into looking at the DOK levels of activities, and we have Karen Hess talking about Webb's depth of knowledge in a video. Again, another note taker form. And then we actually look at Hess's cognitive rigor matrix and take a look at Bloom's taxonomy in comparison to Norman Webb, and how you could be doing something at an analysis level that really isn't a very high DOK level, which can be deceptive. And we encourage them to take one of their own subject assignments that they might work on and develop a cognitive rigor matrix associated with specifically that, so that they can begin to see how that how depth of knowledge is significantly important, and you can't just rely on the verbs associated with Bloom's. Then we analyze the DOK level of assessment items that have already been designed. We use the Kentucky Department of Education's work because they give the answers and explain why. Then we take a look at a variety of different assessments. Are you using a variety of assessments? How are you using them? What are you using them for? Do you understand the purpose of assessment? Those kind of assessments. Get into a little bit on validity and reliability, but at the level for a teacher. What are the things as a teacher that I can easily control that will help strengthen the validity of my assessments? And then we go into blueprinting, and we have them begin to blueprint their assessments, both to the DOK level and the standard. So are they tracking? Do they know how many of their questions are, or how many questions are assessing a particular standard? Do they have enough questions assessing a particular standard? Do they have enough questions at a particular DOK level, et cetera? Are the questions aligned to the standards, in fact, that I think that they're aligned to? So we do this blueprinting, and then we have them take a test that either is a company-made test they use or a test they've already created, and we have them do an analysis of their test based on all they've learned, and then we have them rewrite their test to strengthen it based on what they've learned. And so that's sort of the process. The estimation is about 18 hours of professional development. And I found it to be a powerful way to help support administrators through this kind of learning with their teachers, because you would be facilitating the discussions, but I've given you the format. I've given you the actual step-by-step instructions. I've given you the lesson plan, and I even give you the answers. So it helps with you being able to facilitate that discussion, build the capacity. You're the leader, but you still have me in the background helping if needed. So any questions or comments about that? No? Okay. Dr. Rowe, do you have, would you mind talking a minute about what
Would I mind talking a minute? Of course not. When I got the list of names of teachers who were going to be involved in this professional development, my initial reaction was, ugh. But it was fantastic. We did it over 3 days. And instead of doing it all online, which I still gave them the option to do, they all wanted to continue to meet. So Christine and I co-facilitated that, where I was there with them going through each each piece of it, and then when they would turn in their work, Christine would be the one to grade it. And I never really know how to take it when people say, or when teachers say, this was the most rewarding professional development of my career, because I've done so many professional developments that, like, really, this is the best. But I think it was because really starts from a granular level. And finally gets them to a place where they're looking at their own material. They're taking one of their own tests and applying everything that they've learned. And I really stressed throughout this that it doesn't mean that you were doing it wrong before. It just means that you know better now, or, you know, we've learned something new. And even just in formatting, I saw a lot of really neat changes. Their final project, and this is the last thing I'll say, their final project that Christine put together is doing their own test, and they upload their old test and their new test. And it is just remarkable to see the change. So a really worthwhile introduction to rigor and assessment literacy.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I was probably one of the most rewarding experiences I've been through too, just to watch the teachers and their transformation. It was really exciting, particularly, you know, Carrie alluded to it, but, you know, these are the teachers who chose not to get ACT 48 hours all year. These are the teachers who needed more professional development time. So we know the teachers we're talking about here, and you know, I thought, oh, great. Let's talk to them about assessment literacy. This will be a blast. But it actually ended up being fantastic. So I was pretty happy about it, and I do think it's something that we're going to be able to build on moving forward. So if you have any interest or any questions, or you have a specific training topic you want to design that doesn't have to be this, call me. This came out of the fact that Carrie called me and said, what can you help me do? And we put it together, and we can do the same thing for you. So just let me know. And I got notice that my internet is unstable, so hopefully everybody is still hearing me okay. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the countywide in-service. This is a reminder that countywide in-service is, we are still accepting applications. We're still accepting applications because offerings are still low again this summer or this year. A number of you had indicated you would be offering sessions or agreed to offer sessions, yet I haven't gotten the applications yet. So if you're one of those folks, I'll be reaching out to you this week and with a gentle reminder to get those into us. Everything that we promised at the IU level has come to fruition, and we have those things. And I've been reaching out to outside providers, and we have some additional things. But in terms of offerings by the schools, those are low, and we're still waiting for a number of those to come in. Also, as a reminder, if you don't offer something, then your district is considered, quote unquote, not participating, which means only those districts that are participating will have first come service to the events. Only those teachers will be allowed to register. And then once the registration deadline is passed, if there are still seats, we'll open it up to the other districts. So throwing that out there, if you have questions, ideas, suggestions, please touch base with me about the countywide in-service. I would appreciate it.
What is that date?
That is, you guys are in session. You're teaching that day. It is Columbus Day. So Hopewell is not participating in countywide in-service. That was Dr. Rena's direction, because I think you added professional development days at the beginning of the school year this year, so you took away Columbus Day as a PD day. So I don't think you're in session to go. I do think, though, you are allowing like your nurses, your guidance counselor, your librarians to attend their specific session, or your artists, but as a whole, the district will be in session. But that is Columbus Day, which I think is October 13th. If my memory is serving me correctly. The application is not in the Moodle site, but I will resend it. We sent it as an email. I will post it in the Moodle, and then I'll resend it out. So I will put the presenter application in the Moodle site under today's materials, and I'll send the email. I'll send an email out with that application, as well as the corrected dates for the PBOS training. Thanks for the question. All right. And then I had, I don't know if this is a brilliant idea or just, I had too much time driving around in the car one day. But I'm wondering if we should not experiment from time to time with flipping our meetings. And not only because I think it might help the conversations within our face-to-face meetings, but maybe to practice what we're preaching in terms of, and we're encouraging our teachers to consider flipping some of their classroom lessons, to get parents more involved, to have the actual instruction outside of class so that they can dig deeper when they're in class. And that's what I'm wondering about flipping the meeting. Looking for your input on that. What I was thinking was considering sending a video that needed to be maybe looked at, or some notes to read, an article to read prior to a curriculum council meeting, not on all topics, but those deeper ones, those ones that we always seem to have issues and questions about, that we'd send out in advance so that we could encourage folks to come to the table with questions and wonders, ideas, so that we can have a more powerful discussion on the topic once we come to the session. Any input, ideas on that? Does silence mean you have no desire to go that route?
I'm interested in what Mike Lewis has to say about it.
I think it would make our meetings more productive. I don't want to say that, but I think just mentioning just more in depth, some time to reflect on what we're talking about would be beneficial going into the meeting. Thanks, Kara.
Okay, Joyce Deppenhart indicated she's interested in the idea of flipping the meetings. Okay, so I'm not thinking that we're gonna, I'm not gonna send out my background notes and read all the background notes and let's chat about when we get, but I do think some of those meatier topics, not the stuff that's just a sit and get, but sometimes we end up with a 15-minute discussion on one topic that mostly end up being questions that if we had time to think about in advance, maybe we could have actual and, more valuable questions. So I think it's worth a shot. Plus we could, not for more valuable questions, more valuable discussions. I apologize. And all questions are valuable. And then we'll just see how it goes. So we'll start with one or two things from time to time, and might give me an opportunity to share some other ideas. Okay. Thanks, Rob. Just heard from Rob Lee that he likes that idea as well. So we'll give it a shot, see what happens. I still want obviously we're still gonna have the face-to-face meetings, but maybe that'll give us an opportunity to have better, more meaningful discussions for you. Great. Maybe we won't have as many people leaving sometimes, like a deer in headlights with some of the more difficult meetings, particularly when we have new people come to the table. So, okay. I'm excited. We'll give it a shot. Another thing I'd like to consider adding to the meeting, and this one you might be maybe a little less excited about. Wondering if it would be of value to give districts, not every district every time, but tap districts. Hey, Southside, it's your turn next month, whatever. To do a 3 to 5 minute presentation, wishing to highlight something that's happening in your district. Scott Nelson, I was thinking about you. I know that you do a number of neat things at the high school that might be nice to share with folks. Every one of us does something well, and every one of us has staff members that are doing great things. And I think it would be a great idea in the spirit of collaboration and sharing, and that we're all in this together, that we all really are just about what's best for kids. That if you want to highlight something that's happening within your district or share, I'd like to tap folks from time to time to share those things. Is there anybody that would think that is a horrible idea?
I'm curious what James has to say about it.
We missed who you were saying you wanted to hear from, Dr. Rowe.
JC?
Oh, JC.
I would love if you did that, because then that would help me to figure out what's going on throughout the county. So I would highly approve.
Okay, great. Thanks, JC. Thanks, Dr. Rowe, for getting folks chatting. I'm in the chat box. I'm seeing folks. I'm all in, et cetera. So that's great. So we'll add those 2 changes to Curriculum Council. We'll do a little bit of the flip meeting, and we will have the district 3 to 5 minute presentations. If you are interested in being one of the first to participate, shoot me an email and I'll tag you. JC, I'll give you some time before I call on you so you can get to know your staff before I call you out. So I'm probably going to call on some of the veterans first to talk about how things are going, or share 1 or 2 things in a meeting. I think that would be great. Thanks for your willingness to try new things. I added 2 things. If you printed or were looking at the agenda and or the handouts from the Moodle site prior to about 8:15 this morning, I added a couple of things that came in. So there obviously have been a change on the Moodle site now, but you can see them on the screen. The first one is I became aware of an article about teacher evaluation and the value added component. Interestingly enough, the state of California has been sued by a group of students and their parents for not firing bad teachers, claiming that the fact that they did not dismiss inadequate teachers has negatively affected or unfairly affected poor students or students with low socioeconomic status. They cited, or they were arguing that the tenure law that existed in California made it impossible to get rid of incompetent teachers. And the court rules that California's tenure laws are unconstitutional. And the state is currently appealing, the governor's appealing that. But the interesting part of the article is that there were economists on both sides of the value added side of the equation who were testifying, and it appears more and more that the research is further supporting value added for the use of teacher evaluation purposes. So it was an interesting article. I gave you the link if you want to take a look at it. The other piece that came about that I thought might be of some value, and we've been tasked with finding somebody who would be interested. This morning, my boss calls me, and the first thing he said was, I just got a call, or I got a letter and a follow-up call this morning from the FBI. I got a little, my heart went into my throat there. I'm like, what is the FBI calling us for? But then what it really is that the FBI Pittsburgh Heroin Awareness Prevention Initiative, they're looking for one curriculum director or superintendent interested in representing Beaver County on the initiative. So if you have a passion for drug prevention or for students who might experience these issues, maybe that might be you. The deadline to submit a name is this Friday, so we're looking for one person who would be interested in representing Beaver County on this committee. The first meeting is scheduled in Pittsburgh on August 6th. Here's a little bit of information that we received in the letter. Since the beginning of 2014, they've seen a heroin, obviously there's a huge rise in the use of heroin. A lot of that has to do with the changes in the prescription or in the regulations associated with prescription pain medication. So folks aren't writing prescriptions as easily as they used to. So heroin is actually more readily available and cheaper, and it's a lot more potent. So it's becoming a huge epidemic. We have large pockets within our region, and just north of us in Lawrence County, Elwood City, Newcastle, huge issues right there, which, as you know, is literally over our border. And obviously we have our own pockets of issues here. So they're formulating a strategic work group to address solutions to the issue. And they're looking to take a 3-pronged approach in terms of heroin awareness and prevention through a public awareness documentary, supplemental curriculum, and a school contest. And they're working with Superintendent William Kerr. He's from the Norwin School District, and he just recently graduated from the FBI Pittsburgh Citizens Advisory or Academy program. And so they're looking for recommendations. They're looking for people. And if there's anybody who is all interested from our area, let me know. If we get one name, we'll submit that name. If we get more than one name, then we'll ask folks to we'll have a conversation here locally and decide how to choose that equitably, whether we pull from a hat or have conversations with them about their experience or their interest or something. But if there's just one, we'll go with that. So if anybody's interested, let me know, and we'll send a name. And we have to have that in by this Friday. So if you're interested, please let me know so we can send it in. Thanks for those 2 late additions or humoring me with the last 2 late additions. And then finally, the last topic that I have before we can do our roundtable is here at the IU, we're offering Collins Writing. I know a number of our districts are doing that, and a number of our districts are partnering in offering this session. We had a 4th district, I believe, that was partnering that has decided that they can't do that at this time. So they've pulled out of that, and in doing so, that's given us some additional space. So it's an introduction to Collins Writing program. The emphasis is on text-dependent analysis and reading of nonfiction. They have a few slots that are still available. It is on, it's October 12th, not 13th, apparently, is the countywide in-service. It is on the same day as the countywide in-service. It is held here at the IU. Participants will get 6 hours of professional development along with a textbook. Unlike most things on countywide in-service, there is a fee for that. And so the cost for that is $125 because we have to pay Collins for coming in. But he will be, Dr. John Collins will be, in fact, the trainer. So those of you that have done Collins Writing, if you have a teacher or 2 that are new in your building who maybe haven't participated in Collins work before, or if you have a coach and you're interested in having a coach maybe come and learn a little bit more about it, contact Marcia Hughes here at the IU, and she'll get you hooked up. Any questions about anything that was on the agenda or anything that wasn't on the agenda that you anticipated would be? Okay, it's sort of like a little bit of an odd way perhaps, but can we do, we'll just try this, do a round table. How about if we start with Mike, and then anybody else can just chime in. If you have any questions for the group, comments for the group, I'm going to stop sharing so that you're not looking at the notes anymore. There, that's better. Maybe it's not
No,
better.
good. The other thing I just want to thank Christine for setting this up. I very much like the interface with this today. So all good here. Thank you.
Sure. Carrie?
Now that I know where my unmute button is, I also really liked this. It was new. It was a little challenging at first, but I think as long as I have the notes in front of me, I would be good to go. So I appreciate you doing it this way.
Sure. I don't think I like the option of, particularly in July when people are all over the place, and, I think it's good to do a virtual meeting. I think it's good practice for us to have different experiences. I still like our face-to-face meetings, particularly for more in-depth discussion, but I think for something like this, it worked well. So thanks for the input. JC, welcome. How did it go?
Oh, it was good. I wish everybody's face was up, though, so that I could start to put names with faces, but I'll look forward to meeting everybody in August.
Great. I think Joyce maybe doesn't have a microphone and didn't call in, so she just said, all good here at Beaver Falls. Either that or she doesn't want to join us. So anyway, anybody else? How about Holly? Or Sandra? Rob? Any comments for the group?
Christine, this is Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I haven't received any emails in regards to SPP scores. Any ideas when those will come out?
Hold on one second. Let me check my date saver. In terms of SPP scores, somewhere between July 1st, yeah. I guess in July, you should have been able to do preliminary review. I don't know if you would have received that or central office. Did anybody else receive anything indicating that their SPP data is available yet?
Hi, Christine, it's Sandra. I've been working on ours, and just the phase 1 data verification is available now and needs to be approved by Friday. And then looking at the bookmark, the date is September 24th, where we'll get a preview of the actual score, because right now all we're seeing is some of the data elements in there and just the fast facts stuff right now.
And that goes to the article that, or the email or that you sent to me after we did project-based assessment. Is that correct? Sandra?
I'm sorry?
The memo that you sent out that had only gone to the superintendents that detailed
Yes.
that phase was open, right? So, Dave, at this point, there was a memo that went to the superintendents only, and we're in phase 1 verification of the SPP data. And if you have any corrections or concerns about that data that's in phase 1, those corrections have to be made by Friday. Sandra was kind enough to send me that memo, so I'll send that out to this group in case your superintendent didn't forward it on or hasn't looked at it, et cetera. So I'll make sure you get that. But that actually only went to the superintendent. Thanks for the reminder, Sandra. And great question,
Thank
Dave. Anybody else?
Christine, can you hear me?
Yes, Scott, go ahead.
I wanted you to know that I've been listening, and I'd ask questions or if I had needed to, but I appreciate you going through all this with us.
Sure. Scott, I'm assuming that obviously you're down your counterpart in terms of the elementary counterpoint to curriculum in your district. Do you, at this point, is it just you for now?
I think, but I'll talk, Amy Anderson's a great person, great curricular person.
Okay.
She's young and new, but she's really, she was one of my lead people for a long time. So I might have her. She's middle school. I don't know if that helps you or not.
Oh, no, it's fine with me. It's more about what helps your district and whether or not you can get to things. And I spoke to her yesterday, actually. She definitely seems very on top of things. So that's exciting.
She is. She is.
Great.
She's the first one to do Collins writing in our district and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, she's on top of things.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Anybody else for the good of the group? Feels weird not to official roundtable. Go ahead.
I just want to say, well, I think technology-wise it worked well. I think it was easy to follow. I like the idea of flipping, and I'm happy to share whenever you need me as well. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. All right. Okay. JC, guaranteed that there'll be lots of new faces, and we're all really good about supporting each other. So welcome to Beaver County. Welcome to Beaver County's Curriculum Council. We look forward to officially meeting you in August, but don't hesitate to contact us if you need any help.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to stop recording now. Have a great what's left of your summer. We'll see you in August.
Bye.